You guys can start off by introducing yourself.
My name is King Uprock. My original name is Ralph Casanova, and I'm from Bushwick, Brooklyn, and my crew is called Dynasty Rockers.
My name is Richard Santiago. I am from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York. My b-boys know me as Break Easy or Papa Rich, and the crew I represent is Breaking in Style from the South Side.
Can you guys give me a brief overview of your background in dance and also growing up in your communities?
I started dancing in 1973. I started DJing in 1973. I was about 10 years old. I've been in a music background since I was 5. I played piano and drums. My father, my uncles were famous Latin percussion players in the Latin music. And I grew up loving the funk and soul and boxing and martial arts. And I just kept, dancing, and the style dancing in that time was the hustle and rock, the rock dance, what they call it uprocking. And basically in 1979 I got into breaking, which I joined Mastermind Rockers. And I started popping in 1977 from some guys from California who used to come and spend their summer in Brooklyn. So there's a lot of different dances I always got into, but the most one that I've been known for is basically breaking a little bit, but more for rocking. And I just kept going on, and studied my education. Graduated, worked in the medical field and worked for the police department. Now I'm a custodian. I did electrician work. So I felt education was always what I really needed to do, because in case if I have a family, I needed to pay the bills and I needed health benefits. And the dancing, it was okay. I made some money off of it, but it was more like a celebrity, like I was really famous in a celebrity neighborhood. That's what it's all about. So dancing has been great to me. I mean, it wasn't for dancing, I would maybe be dead or in jail, because at that time it was gangs around, and that made me pull away from being in the gangs and stuff like that. So I think dancing was a big influence in saving my life to today.
Cool. My name is Richard Santiago. I was born in the Williamsburg section of New York City in Brooklyn, and the area within Williamsburg is known as the South Side, Los Sures. It's mostly all Latino, with the Italians and Hasidic Jews. I started dancing at about the age of 12, 13, and the dance within the hip-hop culture that I was first learning was a pop dance, popping, which originally comes from the West Coast. I was going down to Flatbush Avenue and stuff to understand that dance from guys that came from California. This was in 1979. At the same time, there was a unification between the group that I was in. The group that I was in is originally Popping Unlimited. We networked with a group of b-boys from the North Side called the North Side Breakers. They only were breakdancers, or b-boys, better said. And the group that I was in was just poppers, or the electric boogie, New York version of what popping was. We joined together because we were only one-sided in the dance. We were only one dance. So we came together in 1979 and formed the Breaking in Style crew in the North Side / South Side. At that time I was 12, 13 years old. Having fallen in love with the breaking, I continued on that. And from that moment on and stuff within the group, I was known as just Break Easy, because I picked up the b-boy footwork, some of the preliminary spins, its windmills and backspins, and when I executed it, I made it seem so smooth that the people gave me that name, the community gave me that name. I didn't just go out there and say, yo, I'm Break Easy. No, this was a name given to me by my community. So in my community, I was known more for b-boying. I did grow up with a community that was more MC based, not the masters of ceremony or the what they call the microphone controller, but the motorcycle cliques. In my block there was the Unknown Bikers, and they always had problems with the Dukes. This is in Southside in the year 1978, 79. That time frame, that's when the gangs were at their worst in Brooklyn.
All right. Can you guys give me your your positives and your negatives about what has happened to street dance since you guys have been at it, and you know you guys are still at it now. Can you give me your positive and negative feedbacks of what you've seen has happened to it?
I would say positive. I would say that it went worldwide. That's a good thing about it, because I mean, from the movies like Beat Street or Star Wars or Wild Style, many kids were watching, who got to watch it, wanted to become, you know, breakers, just like Dynamic Rockers, Rocksteady Crew, New York City Breakers. But the downfall is that a lot of the kids in New York, it just died out. And I felt like, even though the dance started here, it traveled worldwide. I think the hip hop itself kind of changed over to being positive to negative, you know. And it's kind of negative now because, I mean, it's more MC guys are making more money like always. I mean, if you was back then and you was a good DJ, you didn't make that much money. If you was a dancer, you didn't make that much money. But if you was the rapper, you made money because you was on the record. I think that, you know, as much as a rapper or DJ or even a graffiti writer puts his daily work into making his art form worldwide to people, the dancer does, it's like a 9 to 5 job, because it takes a lot of practice, especially if you go to school or you work to do that part time. It's you know, it's like almost like a fighter training for a championship, you know. And that's the downfall about it. But the downfall is that the history is not being told right. Like, you know, some people in the Bronx didn't know Brooklyn was doing this, and or they did know it. They felt, well, you know, Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan is not trying to, you know, make it worldwide. So since we made it worldwide, we're going to take all the credit. And that's why now the history is all coming out, and history has to be changed again, because a lot of the old cats who are still alive are saying, well, that's wrong, because I was there before you guys, and you used to come to my party, and you learned from me, and you ain't giving me the recognition. I think that's Afro-Americans and Spanish people, we're all black. Doesn't matter how people put it. I tell people I'm black, you know what I'm saying? Even though I'm Puerto Rican, I mean, I'm Indian, you know. We were Indian in Puerto Rico before we were, you know, invaded by Spain. But the problem is that we can never stick together. We can never unite. That's why you have Jewish politics or Jewish this, and they control everything. And then when somebody else controls it and we're not, we're kind of like in a hole blaming each other. But I mean, that has to, somewhere has to stop, where unity has to really come together. If, you know, they saying, you know, hip hop is unity, I don't feel it's unity, because none of the people are going out helping their own type of people, and going to the communities and helping these young kids who are lost. You know, so instead of blaming other people, I mean, the rap song today is calling the women negativity, bad things, and using them as a sex idol, instead of, you know, trying to help their sisters make money and show them that we could dance and we can have a good time and party, and we all can live together, you know what I'm saying? But everything in hip hop is kind of like, to me, I'm not a hip hop person, because when I danced, it was funk and soul. Hip hop came in the 80s. So if that's hip hop, I don't want to be part of that. Because, I mean, when I danced, I remember dancing in my days, it was about having fun. You know, if you had a girlfriend, you want to be known and everything. It wasn't about disrespecting a woman. I wouldn't mind disrespecting my mother or my sister or my daughters. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to disrespect nobody. I'm not going to disrespect women at all. Even the brothers out there, you know what I'm saying? I have a father. I had a father, and I have a big brothers, and, you know, and this is life. And I mean, we have to try to change it, because what happened is that the old school guys, they kind of like had this whole thing in their hand, and the commercial people came and took it away from them. Now they have no control. So now the people who are controlling it is making the violence between, you know, the nationality that live in Brooklyn, Queens, and the hood. You know, and that's what's going on. And now the drugs and everything is coming involved, and it's like a virus now. You can't hardly stop it, you know. So, I mean, for the younger generation, they could be the only ones to either change it, and I think that's where the positive's going to be at.
For me, instead of my perspective on just the dance, I'm going to go with the dance. The way the kids are doing the dance now, it's beautiful, because it's one is giving them something to do, an outlet to express themselves. Two, it keeps them away from doing other problem areas such as drugs, vandalism, and stuff that can affect the community in a social environment. I do agree with King Uprock on the fact that it's gone globally. And the funny thing that the reason why it's gone globally is because it's just spreading out. The dance is coming late. They're late bloomers, and they're appreciating it for how it's coming to them, right? And right now, everything that these kids are learning, even the new school b-boys here and internationally, they are being given a dish already set up. The menu, the dish is already prepared for you, and that's due to the fact that everything is now compact and already set up. It's like a hungry man meal that's already there. Remember, when we did it back in the days, we had to create it. These kids have no creative skills on that aspect. They're just given everything fed to them. This is point A, point B, point C, which is cool that we can provide that. But they have to also understand that we took the initiatives to create or recreate other movements to develop this dance. Sad part about it is that these kids are not doing that. They can clone every single movement an artist can do on a TV and everything. They can replicate it. But to self-express, that is what's faulty. Because these kids don't know how to self-express themselves. They've been programmed through the media. They've been programmed even in school. And the music that they're listening to, which I agree with Ralph, that the so-called hip-hop that we live in is not the hip-hop that I was born and raised growing up and listening to. You know, hip-hop right now, I feel, is just like a little pimped kid that back in the day when he was young and naive, he was capturing and keeping the realness and speaking for himself and speaking off the mind. But now, again, the school media has already taught this hip-hop name, this is how you have to act. So you got a false image of what hip-hop culture really is. Okay, so like I said, the beautiful part is that these kids got an outlet to express themselves. Sad part about it is the fact that they haven't suffered the way we suffered to develop these new different dances or to appreciate music. Just like King Uprock, he went to school for music and stuff. That's what these kids are missing. They're missing the physical aspect, more athletics, more musical programs in the school